Hello everyone, my name is Harsh and I'm once again present here to take a very exciting and an insightful session on a very interesting topic of Code of Civil Procedure. So what we'll be discussing today is the rejection of plaint which has been provided under the Order 7 Rule 11 of the Code of Civil Procedure. Now what all we'll be covering today is the major object and the purpose of enacting such provision under the CPC. What are the various instances, what are the various cases that have been enlisted under this particular rule whereby the court shall have the power to reject a plaint. And most importantly, what is the time under which or at what time the court should ideally be rejecting a plaint under the proceedings of a case. Apart from this, we'll also try to focus upon some really important judicial precedents that have been set out, which are important in order to determine whether such relevant grounds can be applied in different cases or not. And we'll also talk about some recent case laws. So before we start about the section of CPC which deals with rejection of plaint, which is Order 7 Rule 11, we'll talk a bit about civil suit. Now in a civil suit, the plaintiff is through the way of a plaint trying to seek remedies and reliefs in accordance with the provisions of law. And the concept of civil suit is based on a very basic doctrine of ubi jus ibi remedium. I believe most of you will be familiar with this term. Now for those of you who aren't, this particular term means that where there is a right, there is a remedy. If I have a right as an individual, there shall be a remedy that I will be able to claim in cases of the violation of my right. So in cases where we have a right, we do have a remedy. That is the basic concept on which the civil suit is based. So in order to file a civil suit, we need to file it by presenting a plaint. And if the plaint is defective on the basis of any of the grounds which have been mentioned under the Order 7 Rule 11, in such cases, the plaint shall be outrightly rejected by the court of law under the particular provisions which have been mentioned in the Order 7 Rule 11. Now what is the purpose? Before moving on to discussing more about what all are the grounds, we need to understand it from the very basic. So what can be the purpose of having such sort of provisions? The Indian judiciary, the Indian courts have been overburdened with a lot of cases, I'd say, in the time that we have passed behind us. There have been increasingly lots of cases which have been filed, and those pending cases are also there. But in comparison to the same, in proportion to the same, we have a very limited number of courts and very limited number of judges, which is again not sufficient to dispose of all the cases which are still pending in the Indian courts. In such a cases, it can be really difficult for the courts, for the judges to entertain such irrelevant lawsuits. And the major purpose of having such rule is to avoid the irrelevant lawsuits, so that the court can initially reject such suits, reject such plaints, and it doesn't waste its time on it, basically, because there are some more relevant and important cases which require the times of the court, and they are left to be pending in a lot many instances because of such irrelevant suits. So it is important to have such provision so that we can ignore such suits. Now, in order to understand when this particular rule 11 can ideally be applied, we will be referring to a case, that is Salim Bhai and others versus State of Maharashtra and others. It's a AIR 2003 case. In this particular case, the court very clearly said that the trial court can at any stage of the suit, before registering of the plaint or at the hearing of the suit or after issuing summons, it can reject a plaint. It has to be done before the conclusion of the trial, and before the conclusion of trial, at any point of time, the trial court have the right to reject the plaint, and it can do that if the plaint is satisfying the grounds of rejection under Order 7 Rule 11. Now the plaint shall be rejected on the following number of cases which have been given under Order 7 Rule 11. There are few of them, that is the non-disclosure of cause of action, which is one of the most important ones as per my understanding. The other ones are in the cases when the relief that has been claimed under the plaint is undervalued than to what it actually should be, or in cases where the plaint is returned upon a paper which has been insufficiently stamped as per the rules of the court of law, or in the cases which is another most important ones as per me, is that where the plaint has been barred by any law which has been provided under the Indian legal regime. Or the last two ones are in the cases where the plaint is not filed in the duplicate copy, or in the cases where the plaint is not complying with the provisions of Rule 9. In such cases, it shall be rejected. Now we will be discussing the important ones in a bit detail. So we'll be beginning with the first one, and which is the non-disclosure of the cause of action. So the cause of action is actually one of the most important thing that one needs to mention in a plaint or while instituting a civil suit, because the cause of action tells the reason as to why an individual is filing a suit, what right of that individual has been violated. And in cases where the cause of action has not been disclosed in the plaint, in such cases the court shall have the right to reject such sort of plaint. And in such cases whereby the court is rejecting the plaint, in such cases the plaintiff will have a right that he or she can file a fresh plaint, or a fresh suit can be instituted by filing a fresh plaint, but it is again subjected to a period of limitation under the CPC or the Limitation Act as it has been prescribed under the law. Now, in cases where the cause of action was disclosed and the plaintiff has substantially failed to prove his cause of action, then such plaint shall be rejected, or it shall lead to the dismissal of suit, and the new suit, if it is filed again, it shall be barred by res judicata as it is provided under the section 11 of the CPC, because such suit was dismissed on the merits of the case, and since the plaintiff was not able to prove his cause of action, so it has been dismissed and it cannot be allowed to the plaintiff to file a fresh suit as we are doing in the case of rejection of the plaint for not filing the cause of action. So we need to differentiate between both the cases to understand it in a more comprehensive way. Now, how will we ascertain that whether the cause of action has been disclosed or not? So in order to ascertain the same, we need to refer to Order 10 Rule 11. Now, Order 10 Rule 11 basically talks about ascertainment whether the allegations made in the pleadings are accepted or denied. Now, when we talk about pleadings, the pleading comprises of both the plaint as well as the written statement. So at the time of the first hearing, the court needs to determine whether the allegations which have been made under the pleadings, that is the written statement and the plaint again, how many of them are basically accepted by the parties and how many of them are rejected. And while ascertaining the same, we can ascertain whether the cause of action has been mentioned under the plaint or it's not mentioned there. And in cases where it isn't mentioned, we'll be outrightly rejecting it. And in such cases, the court will not examine the written statement or the defendant or their witnesses for examining the cause of action. For examining the cause of action, we'll be focusing upon the plaint only and not on the written statement. Now, to understand this concept in a more better way, we'll be referring to a case which is the Rooplal Sethi versus Nachhatra Singh. It is the AIR 1982 case, and what was held in the case was that in order to secure the ends of a justice, the court has to take a liberal interpretation of Order 7 and Rule 11 and not a literal one. And in such cases, if there has been an issue whereby the plaintiff has failed to provide with the proper cause of action, in such cases, the court may, by taking a liberal interpretation, allow the amendment of the pleading under the Order 6, Rule 17. So in such cases, the court, if it is required, the court may take a liberal interpretation and shall allow the parties to amend the pleadings, to amend the plaint if required under the Order 6, Rule 17 of the case that has been referred under CPC. Another major case is Mayor HK Limited versus owners and parties of vessel MV Fortune Express. In this particular case, the Supreme Court observed that the grounds under Order 7, Rule 11 are not exhaustive in its sense. They're not to be considered as exhaustive, and the plaint can be rejected on other relevant ground also, which can include the grounds like being vexatious or meritless ground. In such cases, it can also be rejected, and the grounds which are mentioned specifically under the Order 7 Rule 11 are not to be considered as exhaustive by determining the rejection of plaint under any cases. This was said in this very important and leading case law. Now, another important ground which has been mentioned under Order 7 Rule 11 is the undervaluing of a claim. In case if the court finds, while the hearing of the case, the court finds or the court determines that the valuation of the suit is not actual and it has been undervalued and it is a deficient court fee, then in such cases the court shall reject the plaint and shall proceed with it. The court will have the power if it finds that the suit is undervalued. But before rejecting such plaint, the court may grant a reasonable time to the party to change that particular thing, and even after providing such reasonable time, if the party is failing to amend that or to change that, in such cases the court may reject the plaint or further extension of time can be provided under section 148 of CPC. Now section 148 talks about the enlargement of time. So it provides the court with inherent powers that even after the limit that has been provided under this particular provision of CPC, if the court feels like, it may provide for an enlargement of time, but that also cannot be more than 30 days. So if the court provides them with a time to change it, still they don't do it, still if the court wants or the party satisfies that they need some time, so the court have the power under section 148 for the enlargement of time, and then it can again further extend the time period for 30 days. Now there's again one case that we need to discuss, which is the Salem Bar Advocate Association versus Union of India. It's the AIR 2005 case. Now in this particular case, it was said that the procedure cannot be used to defeat the ends of justice. So initially, like the provision that I discussed previously, this case was that the court can provide time, and even after that, if the party fails under section 148, it can provide an enlargement of time for 30 days. But if it is about securing the ends of justice, the court in the case of Salem Bar Advocate Association versus Union of India very clearly said that in order to secure the ends of justice, the court can also extend the particular deadline beyond the 30 days time. That particular deadline can be provided. And another the ground that has been mentioned after that is that in cases where the plaint is insufficiently stamped. Now there are various charges when we talk about civil suits, so we have to stamp those plaints with that amount of proportionate with charges which are mentioned under CPC. If the particular plaint has been insufficiently stamped, then they can be also rejected by the court under Order 7 Rule 11. Now another major ground which is mentioned is in cases where the plaint or the suit is barred by law. In such cases, the court has power to reject the plaint, and I consider this as one of the most important one, because ideally if it is barred by law, no one should have a right to file it. Now under this provision, it says that a plaint can be rejected if it is barred by law for the time being in force, and in such cases it can be barred in following manners: that it appears from the statement which have been mentioned in the plaint that it is barred by various laws. Now what can those laws be? I'll just take a quick examples, like if we can take the example of res judicata. As we discussed previously, that a case has been instituted and then later on it was dismissed as the party failed to prove its cause of action. Now this particular suit has been dismissed on merits as the party failed to prove its cause of action, and it was not rejected because the cause of action was mentioned. So once it has been rejected on merits, so the another suit can't be instituted on the same cause of action as it will be barred basically by res judicata, because res judicata specifically says that in section 11 of the CPC. So in such cases, since it is barred by the res judicata, it is barred by law. So a suit cannot be instituted, and if such suit is filed, it can be outrightly rejected under the section 11, and it shall be rejected as a ground has been mentioned under the Order 7 Rule 11 that in such cases it shall be rejected. Another such example can be the section 80 of CRPC, which says that in case we are filing any kind of suit against any government official or public officer or government itself, in such cases we need to provide a 2 months notice, and only then the proceedings can be instituted. We cannot just directly go and file against any government institution or government itself or a government or public officer. We need to provide a 2 months prior notice, after which if the problem still persists, then some legal action or some suit can be instituted basically. So if we are again not doing that, so it can also be considered as barred by law. So these are certain instances under which we can say that it was barred by law. These will be the 4 major grounds. There are 2 still left, which is that in cases where the plaint is not filed in a duplicate copy. Now, as per the provisions that are mentioned under the CPC, while I am filing or instituting a plaint, I need to provide a copy to the court. I need to provide a duplicate copy to the other party as well. Now, in such cases where I am not providing those duplicate copies as per the number of copies which have been required under the provisions of CPC, if I am not doing that, in such cases the plaint can be outrightly rejected by the court of law. The court have right because I am not complying with the provisions of the CPC. And the last condition which have been mentioned under the Order 7 Rule 11 is that in cases where the plaintiff fails to comply with the provision of Order 7 Rule 9. Now, what is Order 7 Rule 9? The Rule 9 talks about the procedure on admitting plaint, which has been given again under the same order, that is Order 7. So in case that we are not following the procedure which is mentioned under Rule 9, which is the procedure on admitting plaint, if you are not following the legitimate and the described procedure which has been given under the particular provision, in that cases the court shall have the right to reject the plaint. So this will be all. I believe that the session was informative enough for you guys to understand in what cases the plaint shall be rejected, and I shall be back very soon with a new and interesting session once again. So thank you so much for hearing out to me, and that will be all for today. Bye bye. Thank you.